Confessions of a BET Producer in itself is a documentary that's strictly an internet thing. We're going through the internet, and the next one that we're gonna do that'll be a full length documentary is entitled BET: The Greatest Story Never Told. For me, this isn't a BET situation. My issue is with the vice president. He was the one. Now he may have been put into position by Viacom, the Viacom higher ups that say, hey, you know, there's a plan we need to go along with, and we need you to instill it, and we need you to make it manifest itself. But the vice president of BET doesn't have to go that hard. I mean, you know, so it's not a BET thing. I'm not going to say that because I'm a big Reginald Hudlin fan who's the president over there now, and I think that he's going to do a lot of great things with BET in the future. But for what has happened over the past 5 years is a direct result of one man. So I'm not looking at Viacom right now because he doesn't have to go as hard as he does. You know, Viacom may tell him something, but like I've always said, you could have got the most racist, cracker, KKK, Grand Wizard in BET to be the vice president. He could have done a better job at killing hip hop than this black man named Stephen Hill did. So, you know, it's not about Viacom. It's about this one guy. He is the alpha and the omega of what goes on in the music side. If he does not like an artist, you can't convince that man to let it get done. You understand? If he likes an artist, he will make sure that it's done. And he has two people beneath him that get it done for him. So from a musical standpoint, from what you see on videos every day, it's one dude. I'm not saying BET. I think it's unfair to lump Reginald Hudlin into this bullshit. You know? It's just that, you know, BET is a crew that Stephen Hill runs with. So if I run up on Stephen Hill, like I run up on his crew, so be it. But it's just one dude. Like I'm saying, it's one guy. It's not a BET. It's one guy. We got little young boys out here that all think that being a thug is what you're supposed to be. Then our women out here, you know, are dealing with the fact that they're being pushed to the back, and which is being headed by BET, you know, the destruction of the feminine energy within the black community. You know, I mean, I like black women. I don't think I'm racist by saying this. With all due respect to Caucasian women, Latino, Dominican, whatever, I like black women. And for me to have to fuss and fight with a black woman because she's so used to dealing with this generation of men that we have spawned with the help of BET, with, you know, with their visuals, I'm like, yo, you affecting my life. I got, you know, I love little children. I'm tired of trying to tell a little child that just, you know, that they beautiful being dark. When you turn on BET, that's not what BET says. So this joint affects everything. It affected my life all the way around. I got to listen to whack-ass rap music, watch whack-ass rap videos. God damn, I could escape this shit. So I, you know, reach a point. So, you know, I look at the industry and I look at like this government and the industry like the big bully. It's a house of cards. So now I'm like, what you going to do when someone slaps you back? Now I'm slapping back and they're doing the typical shit. They're calling their lawyers. You can't use our stuff, blah, 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 blah. That's bullshit. You know, so that's the most they can do. So I'm like, to paraphrase my man KRS-One, I'm just the guy to lead the crew right up to your face and dish you. When I first got to BET, I really thought I was gonna save the world as far as Black America and how they were viewed on television. I was just a regular dude who loved hip hop, and I'll compare it to, like, imagine if you bake a cake out of the goodness of your heart, and then someone comes behind you and they start putting cyanide in the cake. You understand? And you're watching all these people eat this cake that you helped, that you basically made, but someone else has put cyanide in it, and you watch people drop and die left and right. With Black Entertainment Television, I was an associate producer on Rap City The Basement when it first started. And I moved to I was asked to come to New York when they moved the station from DC to New York. And I was as an associate producer still, actually. And then I moved on to become a producer. But I was basically in charge of putting videos on. You know, that's what we did at the time, before it became a dictatorship from the vice president. You know, within each show, the producers were allowed to say, man, you know, we think this artist is hot. So if one of us came and said, hey, man, I saw Joe Blow rapping at a show, and I think he's going to be something, we would sit amongst ourselves, the Rap City staff, and argue, fuss, and fight. That's how the whole situation with Eve came about. When Eve first came out, she was the only girl with Rough Riders. You had the Locks and DMX and all these other men, but here was this girl, and she was holding her own. So I brought it to the table like, hey, guys, on the Rap City staff, I said, hey, this is girl Eve, and we fussed and fought and argued because majority of the staff was men, so our first thought process is to think from a male perspective. But once I was able to tell them why and tell them the benefits of pushing a female artist, the rest of the staff, you know, came around and said, you know, we support it. And at that time, the vice president of entertainment, Stephen Hill, he didn't have complete control. What he had to do was listen to the senior producers of shows and then go with other executives and how they felt. So because our senior producer was with BT before him, the other execs would kind of listen to him. And so even though Stephen really may not have wanted it, he was coerced into saying, okay, give it a shot. I remember of another instance where DJ Honda from Japan wanted to do a Rap City in Japan. And he had everything paid for. And the day before we were going to leave, the vice president said no. Because I don't think anyone is interested in a hip-hop show being shot in Japan. And that's how it goes. There was no, well, let's talk about it. It was no. And so therefore, if Stephen Hill likes B2K, that's what you're going to see on 106 & Park. You're going to see Marquez Houston, you're going to see B2K, you're going to see Omarion, and that's the way it's going to be. It doesn't matter if there's a guy, if Anthony Hamilton has a hot album out. Anthony Hamilton's black ass ain't going to be on BET. That's just the way it is. Because that one man says no. So if he says that Anita Baker isn't relevant to the audience, isn't relative to the BET audience, let alone the 106 & Park audience, Anita Baker can drop 20 albums in a year, and she'll never see the light of day on BET. That's just the way it goes, because he is the Lord and Emperor and King of that kingdom. He's a malevolent king. So it'll be my pleasure to bring that kingdom to its knees. I realized very early on from interning at MTV that what the media could do. Because when I used to intern at MTV in 1997, I remember every day, like at 4 o'clock, like all these people would turn to, all these white people would turn to BET. Like clockwork. And it'd be like 20 of them would crowd around the television and watch Rap City. And then one day I finally got the nerve to say, why are you all watching BET? Because at that time, when I was in college, I didn't really think white people paid attention to BET. But when I asked them, one of the producers turned around and said, hey, this is how we tell what is hot in the urban neighborhoods and urban environments, because then we can dictate some of our urban playlists from what BET's playing. So right from there, I already had the knowledge that, okay, if I play Eve 4 times a week on Rap City, and every time she comes on BET, and I make sure that she's looking good and she looks like a sex symbol, then that means eventually MTV is going to say, hey, why are they putting this girl up here? And then when MTV does it, then someone else from more mainstream America is going to say, hey, who is this girl right here? So I understood that early on as a production assistant. So everything I did was very meticulous. I left BET in 2001, in August, the month before the towers fell. And I originally left to pursue an acting career. And then they asked me to come back last year to produce a show called The Road Show. And I came back. But I left after they asked me to help them revamp Rap City. But it got to a point where it was so disrespectful, and I realized what was going on. And I mean, I had older heads, from the DC office pull me to the side and say, man, they're trying to fuck your name up. You might just want to leave the situation. And then when I saw what they did to The Road Show and, and the different things that was going on, then I was like, well, it's time for me to go. And because he is the vice president, and he has his creative director who's like the pit bull, and she's a control freak, and they run BET like the government runs the government. They keep everybody in a state of fear. They keep everyone in a state of fear where they play psychological games where you begin to think that this is all that you can do, because in black film and television there's not many places to go. On a mainstream level is BET. So if you don't behave a certain way, it's easy to start taking psychological advantage of people around you when they're looking at you like you're the beginning and the end, and well, this is all I got is BET, where else am I going to go? The whole thing that I'm bringing up with the vice president, it permeates further than me. It's not even personal with me. Anybody could have been in my situation. So it's not even personal, but it affects the community. It affects these young people that they have in the station who now just soulless beings that just walk in and just work for that $250 a day or $200 a day, or I mean I got paid like close to $400 a day. So they take advantage of it, and the problem is it affects everyone, because regular black America, because there's no other representation of them, they're gonna turn to watch BET, and these executives know this. BET employees in there right now, I feel this. I get my phone calls. I'm not gonna put people on blast, but I get my emails and phone calls. I know. I said what I said on DVD is what majority of these cats say standing around their little cubicles. You should hear some of the shit that these people be saying that they go through. You understand what I'm saying? I know a dude that just got fired the other day because one of his partners got fired and over something that just wasn't right, and he stood up for him. But I said that was foolish because this DVD was already out. So any nigga that talking BET is done for. Right now, it's hot over there. But I'm not saying there's people. You should see some of the emails that I've gotten from people that used to work with the vice president when he was in radio in Boston, when he worked somewhere else, when he was at MTV. I got a bunch of emails from people that's like, "Wow, I never thought anybody would come out and say and tell that about him." So there's people, they're just scared. Everybody's scared. We live in a cowardly ass society. The straw that broke the camel's back was when I found out, not for the first, not for the second, not for the third, but for the fourth time, that this dude's creative director was bad mouthing me to people that could potentially hire and fire me. I've been to interviews in the last 3-4 years where people have loved me, and the next thing I know, I don't get the job. Because I'm not realizing, because understand, I used to intern for the creative director, so I'm stupid and naive. I'm not realizing that this woman is saying negative things. And I had been told this from 3 different people. And then finally one day, I called the station to speak to one of the senior producer of Rap City. And I slipped in, I played a word game, I slipped in a sentence. I was like, yeah, because the creative director, man, she's killing me when she talks about me to other people. And he said, yeah, I know, man. I apologize for that. Look, just use me as a reference. And that was when I was like, oh, man. So, and I think, like, around that time, my mother had an operation, and I was working crew production on this John Leguizamo movie, him and Harvey Keitel, called The Ministers. When it comes out, go see it. It's pretty good. And I was working, but I couldn't go home because I had to work. Whereas I'm like, all right. And on top of crew production, you make about $1.20. $1.20, $120 a day, as opposed to when I was in my rightful position, I'll be making $300 to $400 a day. And so I didn't mind taking a money cut because money doesn't make me happy. But when you find out I don't dislike anyone so much that I would stop you from making a living, or I would stop you from pursuing your dreams. That's just like, wow. So when I found that out, I was like, well, it's out of control now. And I said, well, we can all play this game. Like, if you think that you're so bad, big and bad, that you can put your finger in my life, like, I understand the mental ramifications of what happens. A lot of times when you read about people walking to the job and they kill everybody in there, we look at the person like, oh, he's fucked up. No, he's not. I don't condone it, but I understand. I mean, when you have people in positions of power that will manipulate so much, they don't know what they're doing to your personal life. They don't know what you got going on. They don't know any of that shit. You understand what I'm saying? Those VPs, that VP never saw when I was homeless, sleeping in Penn Station after the towers fell. But I never came back because, I knew that was, Tyler Perry. A lot of people, Samuel Jackson, a lot of people have gone through that. So in my mind, I wasn't going through anything other people didn't go through. But when you find out that, damn, like, you was actually telling someone that, I'm not a good person, no one wants a problem. No one wants a potential problem when they hire you. So even if your work is great, if they think you're a problem, they're not going to hire you. And to me, that was fucked up. And I was like, wow, okay, it's like that. Well, unfortunately, the vice president started having me blackballed before I could have even said anything. So I said, all right, well, at this point, I have nothing to lose because I've already made other connects in Hollywood. People know me as a person. So despite all of this, no one's turning away from me, So I said, well, we can all play this game. And I've said numerous times in numerous interviews, and I say it again, I do not live in fear. I do not live under duress. The art form in itself is, I don't want to say it's dead, but coming in with a love for it, I think that's no more. The art form in itself, I guess, I'll say it is dead in a sense. But the effect, or excuse me, the causes of hip hop, no, that's still alive and well. You see that with the Sean Bell case with the cat that got shot at 50 times. Because that's what is offensive to me when I see Russell Simmons, and with all due respect to a lot of my Caucasian brethren and my Asian brethren and a lot of other people running around here saying that hip-hop is universal and feeling as though that they should have a say-so in the creative process. Hip-hop isn't about the monies, the cars, and the hoes. Hip-hop derived and came from the downtrodden. And in this country, there was only one group of people. With all due respect to Jewish America and the Holocaust, that didn't happen in America. That happened over in Germany. The only group of people in this whole country that have been downtrodden, that have been ignored, that have been spiritually raped, has been the quote-unquote African American. And hip-hop is, I have a master's degree, but I go to my job and know every day that my Caucasian counterpart can have my position anytime he wants, just because of who he is. Hip hop is, I have a college degree, but someone gets robbed 10 blocks away and the police don't run up on me and say, hey man, you look like a young brother with a degree with a head on the shoulders. They say, get against the wall, nigga, you look like a suspect. Hip hop is, you're about to get married, and the night before you get married, you have a police officer shooting, 3 or 4 cops shooting at you 50 times because the one Caucasian officer thought that he was in a, his life was in danger. You understand? That's hip hop. Hip hop is crack being peddled into your community by the government. That's hip hop. You understand? Hip hop is all of those things, and the art form came. It was an effect, was an effect of a major cause. It came from that. So hip hop in itself is not dead. It'll never be dead until you stop being told that the first African American this, the first African American that. I gotta celebrate Black History Month for 28 days, and hip hop will never die as long as I keep being told that I come from a slave. You understand? That's hip hop. That's hip hop. Hip hop is not the monies, the cars, and the hoes. That's for with all due respect for my Caucasian brethren in the industry. That's for them. Hanging out with a bunch of niggas in the hood don't mean a goddamn thing if you can go home to your daddy. But talk to them cats that stay there. Hip hop is moving, getting money and moving to a neighborhood, and you have the same accreditations as everyone else, but those people don't want you there because they feel like you're gonna bring in a whole unwanted breed of people. That's hip hop. Hip hop is sexism. Hip hop is racism. I guess there is a little point that I'm proving. Man, people, stop being scared of everything. Y'all motherfuckers are scared of your own shadows, man. Y'all scared of the government. You scared of the cops. You scared of the judge. You scared of this. You're scared of your boss. Then you get home and amongst one another and take it on each other. That's crazy to me. Like, that's what I don't understand about society, is that we'll go take an ass whipping from someone that we perceive as authority, then go back amongst the regular people and take it out on someone else. And it's dumb. It's a trickle-down theory. And it's like, this should not be that big of a deal, in my humble opinion. If more people just said, hey, man, this ain't right, I don't want to take it. I mean, people have said that, well, why are you angry? Well, I'm not angry, but I think I would have the right to be. I mean, hell, I think if more people in this world got angry about some shit, you wouldn't see wars. Because if you got angry the first time someone slapped you and slapped the shit out of them back, it wouldn't escalate into a gang war. It wouldn't escalate into guns. If the Iraqis had just gotten angry when some shit first happened, U.S. wouldn't be over there. You understand? If the U.S. government, if the U.S. citizens had gotten angry when George Bush stole that election, we wouldn't be in the war, because the U.S. citizens would have stood up out of anger and said, yo, I'm not dealing with this shit. But because you're told to love Jesus and not be angry, well, according to that Bible, and I ain't no Christian, and I don't love Jesus, but according to that Bible, Jesus got angry too. So, I don't get it. I don't get how we're such a hypocritical Christian nation over here in the U.S., where it's like, the little man always got to get his face beat in. That's crazy, dog, because my mom ain't raised no punk, man. I didn't come from slaves. I know where I came from. I came from a line of pharaohs. I came from a family that fought in the Haitian Revolutionary War. So I got warrior in my blood. So I don't know how to be subservient to a system because somebody said so. That's retarded. Show me why. Did that? Everybody that's in leadership positions eat, shit, fart, pee, just like everybody else do. So... And on top of that, 75% of them got there through unscrupulous means anyway. So you listen to listen to someone tell you not to do something, and they doing it. What's homeboy that was trying to help prosecute Bill Clinton? One of George Bush's boys. He come out last week talking about something doing the whole Monica Lewinsky trial. He was cheating on his wife. Well, excuse me. What did you know? They was making a big deal about Clinton doing this shit, and you got the main dude prosecuting him was doing the same shit. This is the country we live in. This is the society we live in. I'm not scared of these clowns. I walk in the hood every night, and I don't be scared to get robbed by some of the toughest cats I see out in the street. So I ain't gonna be scared of no punk-ass motherfucker because he got 2 letters in front of his name, VP. I'll whip him, physically and spiritually. And anybody else that wants to jump on his side and get in my way, whoever that may be. They're scared, man. They suckers and they scared, man. You tell all the powers that be, man. After school, 3 o'clock, meet me in the parking lot, punks. And right now it's about 2:35. Let's go.